This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
No sign. The search continues for two missing children in a rural area of Pictou County. Denied. A woman repeatedly attacked by her ex couldn't get financial support to leave her home. And sniper alert. A U13 kid puts up some massive numbers in minor hockey.
Increasing clouds throughout the day on Tuesday, but staying mild. Then some wet weather building in for Wednesday and the end of the week. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. The search for two missing children in a rural part of Pictou County is now into its fourth day. 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan wandered away from their home in the remote community of Lansdowne. The CBC's Preston Mulligan is there and has this report.
6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her brother, 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, are still missing in this rural area of northeastern Nova Scotia. The RCMP is the lead agency here, along with EHS, hundreds of search and rescue crews from Halifax to Cape Breton. During the daytime, there are anywhere from 100 to 140 search and rescue crews in the woods, and the search continues all night. They deploy between 60 and 75 search and rescue crews in the woods all night long. So each searcher will work a 12-hour shift before they have to take a rest. There are 3 helicopters in the air, and there are dogs as well involved in this search, drones too. Search and rescue officials are keeping very close track of which sections of this area around Lansdowne have been searched, and once that area is covered, they move on, and they say it's important that no one wander in. Incidentally, this search has been the first assignment for the Nova Scotia Provincial Guard. They aren't directly involved in the search, but they're helping with traffic, protection of parked vehicles overnight, and just generally giving directions to people who are coming and going, those involved in the search and rescue effort. Earlier today, we spoke to the partner of the 2 children's mother. Here's some of what he had to say about Jack and Lily.
Lily and Jack are awesome kids, very, very kind. They'll talk to anyone. They want to go with anyone. They're just looking to have as much fun as they can. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister.
He says he's also hoping police monitor the New Brunswick border and the airports for any sign of the 2 children. But RCMP tell us this afternoon they're not considering any possible abduction here. As far as they're concerned, they're looking for 2 young children who simply wandered away.
I know that there's a lot of people pulling for these kids to come home. We've heard a lot about the impact that this is having on the community at large and the family, and it's really important that we locate these children and get the information from the scene here and from anyone who might have information about the kids and their habits. So it's been really important to have engagement from anyone who knows these kids.
A spokesperson for the Chignecto Central Regional Center for Education tells us the 2 children were students at Salt Springs Elementary School. Their stepdad told us they'd both been out sick all week before disappearing on Friday. The school has additional support staff on site at Salt Springs if anyone needs that support. Meanwhile, the search will continue into the night here in the Lansdowne area of Pictou County for young Jack and Lily Sullivan. RCMP and search and rescue officials tell us they will have search and rescue crews on the ground. They'll have dogs with them, and they'll have drones in the sky all night long. Preston Mulligan, CBC News, Lansdowne, Pictou County.
And staying in Pictou County, the body of a kayaker who went missing late last week has been found. Male youth fell into Eden Lake, southeast of New Glasgow, on Thursday. He and his sibling had been paddling in separate kayaks when his kayak overturned. Divers found his body in the water just before 8 p.m. on Friday evening after a large-scale search and rescue operation. A Cape Breton man was sentenced today for possessing police paraphernalia. Colin Penny received 30 days but was released because of time served. Cape Breton Regional Police seized pieces of police uniforms, guns, and other items from Penny's apartment in May of 2023. He was the first person charged under the new Nova Scotia law. The act was created after a gunman masquerading as an RCMP officer killed 22 people in Nova Scotia in April of 2020.
Mr. Penny was a collector, and when these things were legislated to be illegal, he did not divest himself of his collection. There's no indication he ever intended to use it to represent himself to be any kind of a peace officer. And so for that reason, we've agreed to the recommendation we put before the court.
Provincial Court Judge Diane McGraw said she believes Penny had no intention to do anything with the police gear other than collect it. A woman who survived multiple attacks by her ex says when she tried to access financial support to leave her home, she was repeatedly denied by the province's housing benefit for survivors of gender-based violence due to program policies. Nicholas Seguin reports, and a warning: this story contains graphic details that some viewers may find disturbing.
She remembers being dragged by her hair through broken glass covering the floor of her apartment. It was one of the worst attacks she endured at the hands of her partner.
In this instance, he didn't hit me. He just was throwing me around like a rag doll because he's much bigger than me. And I just remember seeing a lot of broken things in the house and telling him that he needs to go because the neighbors are going to call the police.
The woman, whose identity CBC News is protecting for her safety, escaped a case of intimate partner violence that she says could have killed her. Court records show her ex has been charged with multiple counts of assault, but when she tried to access government support to leave, she waited 6 months, repeatedly being denied the province's rent supplement for survivors of gender-based violence, stopping her from getting back on her feet.
I lost a lot of money, dignity, self-esteem, everything. And I still had to function as a parent and hide all those things from my child at the same time.
CBC News reviewed emails sent by Housing Department staff explaining why she was ineligible. First, because she hadn't yet found a new place and was still living in the same apartment. Then, because she was already receiving a different rent supplement of around $600, roughly half the amount of the subsidy she was applying for.
Just based on our housing crisis, there was nowhere to move, and it wasn't guaranteed income at that point. I didn't know what my budget was in order to go and look for a new place.
The concern for me is the fact that these barriers exist at all.
The woman's MLA, Susan LeBlanc, was one of the people helping her through months of emails, phone calls, and advocacy. She says this case reflects a larger problem.
It could be any situation where they basically don't leave a violent situation because of the wait time or the barriers that are in place, which is very dangerous.
A government spokesperson says 245 people have accessed the subsidy since it was introduced last July. They say the regular timeline for the program is 1 to 2 weeks, and this case took longer than it should have. The woman is now receiving the benefit and living in a new apartment, but she wants her experience to lead to change. Nicholas Sagan, CBC News, Halifax.
Ryan Snoddon with us now. Clear skies today, Ryan, in Halifax at least, and I guess more to come.
Yeah, beautiful day across the province today, Tom. Thank you so much. Lots of sunshine. We're going to hang on to the sunshine. Temperatures won't be quite as widespread warm for tomorrow, and that is because the wind is going to be from the southeast, and that's going to be, again, coming in off the water along the Atlantic coastline, Yarmouth, Bridgewater, Halifax, up the eastern shore into Guysborough County. Here, temperatures are going to be capped, likely in the 10 to 13, 14 range. Work your way towards the northern parts of the province, and we're talking about, yes, you folks in the valley, in and around Cobequid Bay, and across the North Shore, going to be into the 16 to 18 range, maybe even a couple pockets milder than that. The Cape Breton region around 15. We'll also be looking at that area of high pressure moving out and our next system moving in, so increasing cloud cover throughout the day on Tuesday. So a heads up on that, but the wet weather holding off until we move into Wednesday. And Wednesday is looking rather damp with showers off and on throughout the day. Some pretty breezy southerly winds as well. Still mild, then a bit of a cool down and lingering unsettledness toward the end of the week, Tom. Keep that umbrella handy as we'll walk you through your 7-day forecast.
Appreciate the advice. Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Halifax Water is requesting a hike on residential bills to offset millions of dollars in deficits in the next 2 years. The utility has submitted a general rate application to the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board. If approved, average residential bills would increase by 16.2% in 2025-2026 and by 17.6% in 2026-2027. That means your bill would go up by $148 the first year, then by $186 the second year. Halifax Water operates on a cost of delivery model with no profit built into rates. Nova Scotia will soon roll out a new 911 system that will allow you to text the service during an emergency. Along with texting, the new 911 system will also be able to pinpoint callers' locations more accurately and will eventually accept pictures and video. The Provincial Emergency Management Office has been getting ready for the upgrade for the past few years.
Getting that information and getting it out to the responders could help them in how they respond to an emergency. So, for example, a video of a house fire, for example, if that information can get to the responding unit, they could maybe predetermine that they need mutual aid, need more assistance, call another fire department to come for assistance instead of doing that evaluation when you arrive on scene.
The CRTC says all systems must change to the new Generation 911 by 2027. But Nova Scotia is ahead of the curve and expects to switch late this year or early 2026. The province will roll out a public education campaign in the coming months. A young Halifax hockey player put up some impressive numbers during this year's season. Bowen Cranston plays U13 hockey and scored more than 100 goals. Linus Mulheron reports.
By all accounts, Bowen Cranston had a standout year. The 13-year-old, who played for the Chebucto Atlantic's U13 AAA team, scored 159 goals in his past season. And if you ask him, he's pretty happy about it.
I think it was an amazing season. The team was awesome. The coaches were great. Yeah, I thought my level of game went up a level.
With numbers like that, Bowen smashed the league's recent records. His coach, Justin Ritzy, calls him an electrifying player.
He's scoring 5-6 goals a game. It was incredible. It's still hard to believe talking to you now. It's incredible.
Ritzy says that beyond being a sharpshooter, Bowen's a team player as well.
And he wanted everyone to feel a part of the team. They wanted to be included if it was off ice, on ice. He's everything you ask for as a coach. Hardworking, determined, skillful, all the above that makes him a complete player.
Bowen's father, Tim Cranston, is excited about his son's season. He says he's earned it with the amount of work he's put in, spending 7 days a week on the ice.
He does at least 2 extra power skatings a week. He also does at least 2 extra skills training sessions a week. That's on-ice stuff, but then there's off-ice stuff.
His off-ice training includes boxing, rowing, and strength training. Cranston says as long as Bowen's happy playing hockey, he'll have his family's support to keep going.
We've seen him put in the work, and he seems to have a smile on his face, and for us, that's what it's all about.
And does Bowen want to keep going? Oh, yeah.
Well, my huge goal is to make it to the NHL one day. Yeah, but I'm just focused on this right now, but that's the long-term goal, is to make it to the NHL.
For now, Bowen aims to keep racking up the points as he moves to the Bantam League next year. Linus Mulheron, CBC News, Halifax.
An event to foster cultural understanding among high school students wrapped up this weekend in Wolfville. Honoring Indigenous People, or HIP, brought 25 Indigenous and 25 non-Indigenous youth together from across Canada for workshops and interactive sessions. The National Youth to Youth program is being credited with life-changing experiences for its participants.
Completely honest, it changed my life last year. I met so many great people, and I feel like we're bringing more of Indigenous culture to non-Indigenous students across Canada, and I think that's very important because we're trying to follow the road of reconciliation, and we're trying to pave a new path for the next generation of leaders and youth.
Completely new to me. I never knew an Indigenous person or even actually met one before coming here. So it was like just something I learned I would hear at my Orange Shirt Day presentations or from my middle school teacher who would very much advocate for Indigenous rights and would teach us a lot. So that's the only things I knew about their culture.
The program encourages participants to build confidence, learn from elders, and build relationships with like-minded youth. Weekend ceremony marked 80 years since the end of the Second World War. On Sunday, hundreds gathered to commemorate the anniversary of the Battle of the Atlantic in Halifax's Point Pleasant Park. Have a look.
we talk about Remembrance Day on 11th of November, but the Battle of the Atlantic had a huge impact for the direction where the war took place. And our merchant navy and our naval fleet, like I said, had a big, big impact.
It's very important to everybody to amalgamate at this spot and remember and think about those who are no longer with us.
For me, it's not about the 80th. It's every year. It's the same for me. It's to pay respect and thanks. We must remember all the loved ones that are still here today, where their loved ones are at sea, either deceased or still serving. I'm not only here for the Battle of the Atlantic, which is very, very big, because my wife's grandfather was on the HMCS Otter, one of the ships that was torpedoed outside the harbor around Boston, Halifax, and he deceased during the war, and his name is on the monument.
A beloved maritime meteorologist and member of the CBC family has died. Peter Coade spent more than 5 decades forecasting the weather for radio and television audiences in the region. He retired in 2016 after 54 years on the job, many of those with CBC. He died in hospital Saturday. He was 82 years old. Here's a look back on his many years on the air.
So, after all my studies, after all my visits, what have I come up with? I hope you have a better idea of when to flood the backyard for your rink, head for the trails, or watch for the oil man.
To explain to me what they're talking about. No one knows in the control room.
20 seconds. You won't have to worry about it after tomorrow.
Well, why didn't you tell somebody? This year, sir?
No. So not
good, because we'd be asking for it back.
This morning we're looking at October 17th, that is, we're looking at a cold front moving through the area. It's showing up on my long-range radar as some fairly heavy rain right along the New Brunswick-Maine border. Take a look at Andy.
Oh, look at Andy, this guy.
Your house right here.
That's my place.
That's your house. Yeah. One with the brown roof.
This is not easy.
I thought you were going to get that painted this year.
I did, actually. You're a little, you're behind the time. It's not that color anymore.
Hi. Peter Coade.
Nice to meet you.
This here, Jim. Open the door.
You shouldn't have.
Even though you might all never have the upper hand, you should be able to have the upper seat. A double-decker outhouse.
I'll use that to keep me out of the rain which you so constantly forecast.
Yes.
All right, Ryan with us now in studio to talk weather, and yeah, we're on a bit of a roll, and I think we're okay with that.
Yeah. For how long is the question, right?
That's what you get paid the big bucks for.
Yeah, that's right. We're on a roll for one more day, at least.
We'll take it.
But you know what? Temperatures at least staying mild for Wednesday, and that's when things are going to turn damp. We've got some showers on tap. Then as we work towards the end of the week, we're going to kind of stumble a little bit, and hopefully we'll recover as we move into the latter half of the
when we
weekend.
say we're on a roll and you pause, that's never a good sign.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. How long can the rolls be this time of year anyway, I guess? We take the good with the bad. Have a look at our webcam video. Of course, a beautiful spot.
Isn't it? More traffic down there tonight, more cars parked, more activity around for sure.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, every time we revisit this shot from Lunenburg,
it's going to get busier and busier?
It certainly will.
Oh, well, there we go.
Couple tourists or locals on the go, but I'm sure we'll see more tourists flocking to that popular spot in the coming weeks. Now, as we look at the temperatures, we are looking at anywhere from 19 degrees at Greenwood right now, 19 at Kedzie, 18 in Halifax, and at the airport. It's just a terrific evening across most of the province. A little cool, as you can see there, along the Cape Breton region and the Northumberland shore. That onshore wind keeping things cooler there. And winds not too bad, but still gusting upwards of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour in through Cape Breton. That high cloud, wispy cloud cover has been overhead today. And as we back things out, there's the system, that frontal boundary that stalled over southern New Brunswick and northern Nova Scotia for Sunday. Really not a whole lot of shower activity across the Atlantic coastline yesterday. Now, as we look at the area of high pressure holding on, this is the system that's going to be spinning its way up the eastern seaboard and bringing in that wet weather. Also tracking a frontal boundary off to the north and west. And you can see that is really dividing the temperatures. 29 in Winnipeg. And, lots to celebrate after last night's game there, and 29-degree temperatures today. You can see temperatures much cooler on the other side of that frontal boundary. Now, zooming in and looking at temperatures for tonight, we're going to be near the freezing mark, especially for the east and into Cape Breton, where temperatures across Cape Breton in particular will range between about +3 to -2. Near the freezing mark, especially low-lying areas where we'll drop below the freezing mark in through the east, and as mild as 5 and 6 degrees with that increasingly southeast flow coming in across southwestern parts of Nova Scotia. Now, as we watch our timeline throughout the day tomorrow, you can see that cloud thickening up here, the Tri-County area, the South Shore, and I think the valley, just a favorable flow with that southeast flow, hanging on to a better mix of sun and cloud here, but that cloud likely thickening up pretty well throughout the afternoon, the Tri-County area and the South Shore. Metro, starting to see that cloud moving in throughout the afternoon, pretty bright from start to finish in Cape Breton. Note the winds from the south tomorrow. So Richmond County, Guysborough, going to be in that 8-9 degree range. You work your way away from the water. 13, 14, 15. Do I hear 16 for Ingonish? Likely one of our hotter spots tomorrow. 17 for Antigonish. And as you can see across northern parts of mainland, temperatures 16 to 17, Tatamagouche, New Glasgow, up to Amherst, in around Cobequid Bay, looking firmly into the mid-teens. Now, temperatures notably cooler here along the Atlantic coastline with this southeast wind. So Musquodoboit, right along the water near 10 degrees, should be around 13 for the peninsula, and then getting a little bit warmer, especially out towards the valley. And you can see here, high teens possible yet again on Tuesday, with single digits set for that South Shore with that onshore wind. Now, let's walk you through and show you that wet weather streaming in Wednesday morning, wettest early on in the west, and that will migrate eastward into the afternoon. And it's just really going to be one of those days where you're going to want to keep the umbrella or the rain jacket handy. Mild though, this is going to be one of those days you'll feel that moisture in the air. Dare I say humid again, that humid type feel. That's going to be the case, as we will see with temperatures into the mid to high teens. That system will depart. We'll see some lingering showers on Thursday, but the sunshine also breaking in on Thursday and again on Friday. To Saturday, we'll wait and see. Not looking great at this moment with a system that's set to track through, but cautiously optimistic, Tom, that system will kick out for Sunday, or at least throughout the day. We'll keep you posted on that throughout the week.
Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Coming up, we speak to the warden of the Pictou County Municipality as it continues to search for 2 young children. The search for 2 missing Pictou County children is still ongoing. Robert Parker is the warden of the municipality of Pictou County. Sir, this situation has gripped so many in the province. What can you tell us about how your community is doing?
Well, it's been a very stressful weekend for an awful lot of people in Pictou County, and I know beyond. Our little children mean so much to us, and myself and others can reflect back to any time in our families when little ones have strayed off somewhere and panic sets in a hurry. And when a time goes by and you're not able to find them and you have to call in some help, very, very stressful. And they often say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, all of Pictou County is a village right now, and everybody's hoping and praying that these little ones are going to be found.
Do you ever remember a time like this in Pictou County?
Well, I've never seen people as stressed out until I go back to West Ray in '92. It gripped the county, of course, in the terrible loss of 26 miners, but I'm not trying to draw a parallel to that here, but it's the same feeling. People are really stressed out, and they desperately want information. They desperately want to know what's going on. And there's only so much to tell them that these people keep looking. The searchers are out there, the RCMP are there, the ground search and rescue, or the firefighters. Tremendous amount of effort being put in this. And I must say that from across the province, there's all kinds of search and rescue units here from neighboring counties and farther away than neighboring. And just a lot of people. There's dogs here from various places, drones. They're putting a tremendous effort into it, but yet no results. We're in day 4, no results. So people are getting more anxious by the hour, and it's really hard to not let your mind stray somewhere else when you've been at it that long. I'm not talking about the searchers, but talking about general public. If people don't have information, they're surmising that other things and going with what they're surmising because there's no further information.
Yeah, you mentioned the search effort there. This is also the first chance we've seen the new Nova Scotia Guard involved in a search effort like this. How are they helping? Have you noticed their impact at all?
I'm not that close, to tell you the truth, to be able to say who's doing what. But everybody's appreciated right now. And I know the general feeling in Pictou County is great sense of appreciation for all those who are trying so hard to find these little ones. And so I don't know the particular role that each of them is playing. I will say, because people have asked me, that our role as council, my role as warden and our councillors, we depend on our specialists or our experts, being those firefighters, those ground search and rescues in the RCMP. We fund them to do the job when the time comes like this, and they're experts at doing their job. So they ask us and others to more or less stay out of the way so they can do their job. But it's not council's job or my job as a warden to be leading this search. Our job is to make sure we have these units, that we fund them through our budget, and they're there when we need them.
Yeah, and that's happening, I gather. But you have been to the search location, the headquarters for the search location, I gather, over the last few days. Have you spoken to the family at all?
No, I have not. Again, I believe in stepping back and allowing the people to do their job. And the family's under a great deal of stress, and they're, certainly being asked for a lot of interviews and a lot of questions. And, that's human nature to be questioning. And but I think it's a tremendous stress on the families, and I think it's important for all of us to not get carried away on social media or whatever, surmising that this or that or whatever's in somebody's head, but to leave the families be. And they're having a tough time, I'm sure. Just put yourself in the case of your children missing or your grandchildren missing, and the terrific amount of stress that's there. And so I think the family should be left alone with their people there to comfort them. And again, the best we can do is try and support the searchers.
Okay, and just quickly before I let you go, this all comes as a young kayaker's body found in the Pictou County Lake. I mean, what kind of help might there be for people struggling to cope with all of this in your community?
There is help, but it's hard at the first when it happens, just a terrible amount of stress on the families. But we do have a lot of, we've improved a lot with our mental health, but we've got a long ways to go. And it's not just when there's crises like this, we still have a long ways to go in mental health. But I think if those families, when they're ready, step forward to get the help that they need, I think the help will be there. But a lot of times, as you know, you have to be your own best advocate. But I know that neighbors and friends are certainly there to help the family of the young kayaker and the families now. We've got to do everything we can and to keep praying for these little ones.
Yeah, difficult times for sure. Robert Parker is the warden for the municipality of Pictou County. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tom.
Coming up, events are being held across the Netherlands to honor the Canadian soldiers who helped free the country from the Nazis 80 years ago. And an Ontario couple says they were left stranded and out thousands of dollars after someone hacked their Air Canada travel credit. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney is getting ready for Tuesday's high-stakes meeting with Donald Trump. This is his first official trip to the White House after the Liberals won last week's election. Kate McKenna reports.
Prime Minister Mark Carney on his way to meet with the president. It's his first big test since winning the election.
He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal.
In an interview that aired Sunday, U.S. President Donald Trump doubled down on his rhetoric that Canada would be better off as an American state.
When I look down at that without that artificial line that was drawn with a ruler many years ago, it was just an artificial line, goes straight across. You don't even realize what a beautiful country it would be.
Carney was elected in part to deal with Trump's repeated threats of tariffs and annexation.
Look, I go there with the expectation of constructive, difficult, but constructive discussions. That's the spirit of the conversations that the president and I had.
Well, I actually think there's a real opportunity for a U.S.-Canada reset here. And what I mean by that is tensions were clearly at an all-time high with former Prime Minister Trudeau. The relationship seemed to have improved after Trudeau stepped down and Carney took over as Prime Minister.
The agenda includes turning the page and trying to smooth out the trade relationship between the countries.
We would all love to see, a stop to tariffs as they're continuing just to cause an immense amount of uncertainty, a chill, if not a freeze, across the business community. However, realistically and practically speaking, I think tomorrow is about a reset.
My hope and our hope is that this will be the continuation of a productive conversation and a productive relationship between our two countries.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has said he wants to negotiate a new economic and security relationship with the United States. Some cabinet ministers will also be joining him on his trip to Washington, and he's been clear in the past, Canada will never become the 51st state. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Hollywood is the latest industry being targeted by Donald Trump's trade war. He's promising to slap a 100% tariff on all movies made outside the United States. The threat puts Canada's so-called Hollywood North directly in the crosshairs. Jamie Strachan has more on how the latest salvo could impact the film industry here.
The first rule is attack, attack, attack. When it comes to the movies and Donald Trump, few know more than Toronto producer Greg Denny.
I spent 2 years of my life focused on Donald Trump.
Denny produced the Trump biopic The Apprentice, shot mostly in Toronto. He says the president's latest tariff target of 100% on foreign-made movies miscalculates and misunderstands Canada's role.
From a Hollywood studio system standpoint, they depend on Canada.
This latest Trump plot twist proposes putting tariffs on all content shot outside of the U.S., longing for an era when most movies were made in Hollywood.
It's an industry now that's it's really left, it's abandoned the USA where it started. And we'll get it back.
Denny's latest project, the big name, big money feature Ready or Not, Here I Come, is shooting in Toronto, employing hundreds. He says movies, unlike steel or wood, are products made up by pieces and talent from around the world.
You can't just slap a tariff on the content of film and television. It's not easy. And, there's so many working parts.
Like a lot of things out of Washington these days, this latest threat, easy to dismiss but hard to ignore. That's why many in the industry here in Canada have no choice but to take this very seriously.
The president's proposal is incredibly hard to understand.
In BC, home to many U.S. productions, the story dominated Premier David Eby's press conference.
Try to imagine, as an American, an option for two versions of Netflix, one where you get just a handful of productions, the other where you pay $50 a month or $100 a month and you get to see what everyone else in the world gets to see.
Domestically in Canada, the film industry is worth more than $11 billion annually. With this latest Trump threat, like in the movies, many plot twists could be ahead. As they say, to be continued. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Thousands lined the streets in the Netherlands to celebrate Liberation Day, a parade to mark the end of Nazi occupation in 1945 and the huge role Canadian troops played in liberating the country. Chris Brown reports.
The Netherlands celebrated 80 years of freedom and the Canadian soldiers that helped win it at a terrible cost, with a parade that passed by the hotel in Wageningen where a Canadian general accepted the Nazi surrender. But it was away from the enormous crowds where some of the most poignant moments of this day happened.
Oh, you're a lovely boy.
George Morash of Calgary, who's 101, was a machine gunner during the war. For the last 4 years, he's had a young Dutch pen pal who he's been exchanging letters with about his experiences during the war. 18-year-old Frank de Bruin initially reached out for a school project, but he kept up writing.
I gotta get up.
And after the parade, the pair met in person for the first time.
Your letters were wonderful.
Thank you so much, George, for assuring me my freedom.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
It's because of him that I can stand here today and be happy. I couldn't imagine fighting right now in an army, and he did that at my age. Yeah, I can't imagine.
The meeting came about thanks to 2 Calgary police officers.
From the Calgary Police Service.
Claire Smart, who knew Morash, asked her Dutch-born colleague Margaret Reinders to do some detective work and find his school.
The moment when she said, like, yeah, he still has students here. He's in his senior year. And that was the best part.
It brought a tear to my eye. It was incredible.
It was also an emotional day for 99-year-old Jack Rossiter, a veteran of the Seaforth Highlanders of Vancouver. Rossiter fought his way across Italy and later Holland. Members of his old regiment found him at a hotel and gave him a moving musical tribute.
This to me is just a real shocker. I never thought I'd meet with the gang again.
And these new personal connections may endure past this emotional weekend. Both Frank and George say they plan to keep writing to each other. Chris Brown, CBC News in Wageningen.
The complainant, known only as EM, testified in the sexual assault trial of 5 former Canadian World Junior hockey players. Ali Chiasson reports from the courthouse in London, Ontario. But first, a quick warning for viewers. The story includes details of alleged sexual assault that viewers may find disturbing.
The woman known only as EM says things took a turn in Michael McLeod's hotel room after she had consensual sex with him. Quote, I wasn't sure why he was dressed already and on the phone. I was waiting to see what was happening. She testified that she was uncomfortable and confused when other men from the hockey team entered the room. She recalls 7 or 8 men being in the room at one time. She alleges they towered over her, pressuring her to perform sex acts on them. Quote, it seemed like the only safe thing to do was to give them what they were wanting. The Crown's case in this trial includes 2 short videos of EM saying it was all consensual. EM says it was not a reflection of how she was feeling and does not remember either of the videos being recorded.
A lot of people still have fixed in their brains that idea that no means no. And they think that is the barrier or the baseline for consent, but that's not accurate.
Toronto lawyer Anna Matas, who is not involved in this case, explains that consent can't be a blanket statement and, according to Canadian law, must be specific to each act or person.
If the situation changes, if another person is added in, or if there is a new act that is introduced, you have to get consent again.
The court saw a series of messages between McLeod and the complainant in the following days. He writes, did you go to the police after Sunday? She replied to McLeod, I talked to my mom about it and she called, I think, but I told her not to. I don't want anything bad to come of it, so I told her to stop. McLeod wrote back, you said you were having fun.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
All 5 of the accused hockey players have pleaded not guilty to sexual assault.
What do we want? Justice!
They were met with people from sexual assault survivor groups chanting as they walked into court.
It's extraordinarily rare for a victim of sexual assault to come forward and make a report to police and then for it to make it to trial.
We are here to show EM that she is not alone.
The judge had to remind the jury not to be swayed by the supporters and that they are only to consider the evidence and testimony. EM's testimony continues tomorrow with cross-examination from defense attorneys. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, London, Ontario.
An Ontario couple celebrating a milestone birthday says they were left stranded and out thousands of dollars after their Air Canada travel credit was stolen, then used to buy a luxury flight for someone they don't know. As Go Public's Rosa Marcatelli explains, the airline is blaming them for the fraud.
We went hiking and
Bill and Sandra Barlow were celebrating Bill's 75th birthday with a trip to South and Central America. But 2 days before their flight home, they discovered someone had canceled their flights, and the credit was used to book a flight to Tokyo for a complete stranger.
Absolutely flabbergasted. How does something like that happen?
The credit was stolen from their Air Canada wallet, a digital account set up by the airline the couple says they've never used or heard of. But the airline blames them.
They said basically, sorry, you should look after your Air Canada wallet, something I didn't even know I had.
The airline tells Go Public hackers accessed the Barlow's email, then used it to get into their digital wallet and steal their credit, saying no organization can reasonably be expected to accept liability for the security of customers' personal email accounts.
But a cybersecurity expert tells us there's no proof of that, and the airline can't know for sure if someone's personal email has been compromised without access to it. Plus, the expert says ultimately that travel credit was stolen from Air Canada's system.
Air Canada customers absolutely should be concerned how many other customers may be sitting ducks.
Air Canada wouldn't say how it knows the Barlow's email was compromised, saying that would jeopardize the integrity of its fraud investigations. And what about that mysterious Tokyo trip? The airline also won't say if it investigated the passenger who traveled on a ticket purchased with stolen credit. So, Go Public tracked her down in Las Vegas.
Okay, here's someone by that name.
She says she bought the ticket through a travel agent, but wouldn't provide the agent's name or proof of payment. She also says Air Canada never contacted her. All of it points to major gaps in the airline's investigation, say the Barlows.
My money was stolen, my seats were stolen, and they don't care.
The couple had to spend thousands out of pocket for new flights home. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Canada's main stock index closed down along with U.S. markets today as trade worries and a drop in the price of oil weighed. Let's take a look now at the numbers as we head to break. All right, Ryan back with us one last time tonight. And I must say, you're in a very good mood today. I'm not sure if it's the sunny weather or your Leafs on the weekend.
Right. Round
Bit of
two.
both, maybe?
Round two, although don't ask me for any predictions against the former Stanley Cup champions.
Not going to forecast that, are you?
No. We'll see. Let's hope that things go okay tonight as we look at tomorrow's forecast. The sun will come up no matter what, Tom.
Yeah, okay. That's we're sure of.
Yeah, have a look at you can see temperatures ranging between about 14 to 18 for most. Now, I do have the metro area anywhere from 10 along the coast to 14 or 15 inland, 13 kind of the happy medium there for this graphic, but it will be variable depending on your proximity to the coast. 16 to 18 degrees for northern areas. Wet weather on tap for Wednesday. We've got clouds and showers, and looks like a pretty steady line of showers marching their way in the morning in the west and then migrating eastward throughout the day. And it will have that kind of summer-like feel with that milder air pushing in from the south. And there again is that timeline for tomorrow with that increase in clouds. So just a heads up on that. We will see showers lingering for Thursday and Friday, but a few sunny breaks, and we'll keep an eye on that weekend.
We will indeed. Okay, thanks, Ryan. Archaeologists in Spain have made a remarkable discovery: the wreck of a large ship that sunk around 500 years ago.
What we've uncovered is a fragment of a ship, likely of Mediterranean-style construction, but with influences from the Atlantic, probably from the Basque Country or Galicia.
The team was excavating a former fish market in Barcelona when they discovered the wreck. The ship is likely to have gone down in the 15th or 16th centuries.
The head of the team says the discovery is of great significance because well-preserved underwater archaeological remains are rare. To ensure the preservation of the find, the wood must be prevented from drying out, meaning constant watering 24/7.
What a find it is.
Yeah.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.